Because when I first met him, he said, I can remember these words, word for word. He said, welcome to Bad Boy, where all your dreams can come true.
Mm.
That's what he said. And
He
then,
sold it.
and I thought that, hey, man, this was it. I even had it on film. I would sit back and watch, welcome to Bad Boy, where all your dreams and everything you want to do can come true. I was like, wow. Went all the way from this to we ain't going nowhere and never went nowhere.
Ay, run it up by the morning. Only one still on it. Only one still on it. Only one still really feel the feel, getting it on. Yeah, yeah. We gotta go, we gotta go, we gotta.
Welcome to the Culture Club Uncensored. I am your host, Osei The Dark Secret, the podcast that amplifies how music influences everything. Now, our guest today, man, I ain't seen this brother in so long, man. Was signed to Diddy's Bad Boy label in 1997. He is a former artist, best known for his 2001 single, Bad Boy for Life. In 2009, he published a book, Dancing with the Devil, which contains a number of anecdotes about his time at Sean Diddy Combs' label, Bad Boy Records. The one and only Mark Curry, and I ain't talking about Mr. Cooper. Mark Curry.
Thank you, man. Thank you. How you doing?
My brother. What's
Yes,
up? Welcome,
yes,
man.
man.
Thank you for making the time for us. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I know you've been doing some of everything.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be on this platform with you today.
Thank you, brother.
I'm honored.
Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you, man. Honored to have you, man. It's funny. You know, and I want to jump into the music aspect. You know, we know that good music is like food, right? And it's been known to get us through the ebbs and flows of life. And food is a major part of what we do here as well at the Culture Club. But I got to ask you this, man. What were you listening to on your way over here?
I was listening to Carl Thomas.
Carl Thomas?
Yeah. I was
Okay.
listening to that album, the first album, Carl Thomas, and it was crazy because me and my girls riding in the car. I'm like, man, this whole album, I forgot about it.
It was crazy.
Yes, and I enjoy listening to it.
Man,
On the way here.
okay. What's on your playlist right now, man? Because I want to come back to the Carl Thomas thing because I got some questions. Obviously, I know you know him. So what's on your playlist as well?
My playlist now, I haven't been listening to Drake. I have a different kind of choice of music now.
Okay.
I listen to more old school, more lounge music. I like when they remake cover songs and they sing them in different ways.
Okay.
I don't listen to much hip hop anymore because I don't like the message sometimes that they give out through a lot of the songs, and it doesn't have anything to do with my walk. So like when I'm on my way to work, I don't want to listen to a song about somebody who's not going to work too. So I'm like, I want to listen to music people going to do positive things and going to work because I'm going to work.
No doubt.
So I have a weird ear for music.
What would people be shocked to find on your playlist?
It would be like Sting, The Police, King of Pain, things like that. These are songs because, like you said, music is a real powerful energy. It's the next powerful energy next to love. So music is very powerful, and if you misuse it, music can be dangerous.
Yes.
When it's misused in a wrong way.
Yeah, no
So
doubt.
I always listen to music that reassures me that I'm doing the right things, that I'm listening to the artist and I'm listening to the words and I'm relating with it. So it's kind of helping me get through things, get over things, see things that I didn't see.
Yeah.
You know, see
Indeed.
things coming, you know.
Indeed.
That's
Indeed.
music.
That Carl Thomas album, man. Now, were you there when he was making that album?
Yep.
Talk about that.
Yeah.
That's interesting, man, because that's a classic.
I'm gonna tell you, I forget which song it was. I was there when he did the song with Faith Evans. I was there. I used to help him. Like I sit in the studio and be like, Carl, I want to write with you.
Wow.
But you don't have to. I just want to write with you. And he'd be like, Mark, you pretty creative. So I would sit, and well, one of the good moments I remember about Carl recording that album was he was recording it on Valentine's Day. And we were in the studio, and we were trying to get him to finish the song so we could send a copy of it to our girls. So Puff sent the copy of it to Kim. You know, I sent the copy of it to my girls. So, you know, it was Valentine's Day.
He had a song on there about Valentine's or
Yeah,
something
that
as
was
well.
I believe, I can't think of the song
The
because I
name
didn't
of
hear it.
Yeah.
but
Wow.
I didn't hear it on my way up here. But I was
Yeah.
listening to all the rest of them.
That's what's up.
But yeah, that was around Valentine's Day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice, man. Do you still see him? You run into him every now and again?
I don't see Carl as much.
Yeah.
I don't talk to him as much.
You okay?
The only artist that I still kind of like have a conversation with every now and then is like Faith Evans.
Okay.
She's always been there, like a sister type of relationship with her.
That's what's up.
You know, and she call and check up on me every time. Like after I do a big interview like this, she gonna call and say, "Mark,
yeah, that's what's up, man.
let me know I'm saying the right words. Let me know. Just give me that good energy. Keep doing what you're doing. Stay positive."
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. It's funny, man, because you know, I know we were kind of overdue to connect, and I saw you. You know, you were on Piers Morgan and Chris Cuomo. How did all that come about? Talk about, you know, just how that process unfolded. It seems like people are finding you.
Yeah, it happened overnight because it as long as I've been trying to push this message, I didn't have that support. So now to get those phone calls and to get that exposure, which is putting me out there in another light. So I've been reaching for that light for a long time. So it opened up doors. This is opening up doors. So even when you say, you can say that you saw me do the Chris Como or the other show. Piers Morgan, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm so old school, I didn't
Right.
even know who they were. And then I was like, who?
Yeah.
Morgan, who's this?
So they just called from the
Just
from
called.
the show, and they're like, "Hey, can we talk to Mr. Curry?"
Yep, they just wanted to talk to me. And
Yeah.
I was like, man, if you want to talk to me, I'm honored that you want to talk to me. What you want to talk about?
What I appreciate about you, Mark, is you got a very and always have had a genuine spirit. My first time meeting you when I got to Atlanta was at Justin's.
Right.
I bought your book back then. I remember you sold it to me, and I wanted to support. And that's the thing about when you meet people. One of the things for our brand here is reciprocal generosity. And you know, I just think that you are an appreciative brother. And I always felt like it was just a real connectivity, so it makes talking to you easier. The book, you really was that therapy for you, Dancing with the Devil?
Definitely. It
Okay.
took me maybe around 6 years, 5 years, 6 years to write the actual finish writing the book.
Okay.
And but it took me a long time to gather my thoughts. And I had to think for 16 chapters or so like that, different segments of my life. So I had to play them out and make sure that each chapter was saying something positive. Each one was different. My formation, my format on how I was writing, it took a while because I would have to write one part, and then once I would catch a brain fog or something like that, I would have to put that chapter away for about 2 months, 3 months, sometimes longer than that, and then I have to come back into it with a different thought,
Okay.
so I can expand on it and make it a chapter.
Yes.
So yeah, it was fun while I was doing, very therapeutic.
Yeah.
It was created to be able to sit back and read what's going on in my mind and in my heart. To sit back and read it, it says, you know what, I wrote all my pain in this book. So it set me free. I'm no longer in pain.
Yeah.
I'm no longer bothered by whatever this truth may be. I understand it. So it helped me move on, actually.
Absolutely.
Yep.
We're going to get into some more of that. I want to kind of go back through your journey. You got signed in 97, right? A year after Pac got killed. So you were there before Big got killed as well?
I was there before Big got killed, yes.
Okay, interesting. So understanding Atlanta at that time, we're coming on the tail end of Freaknik. You know, you are from, what, Teaneck, New Jersey originally?
Originally Teaneck, New Jersey.
Moved to Atlanta?
I moved to Mississippi first.
Come on, man. What was that culture shock like?
Oh, man, that's when, in Mississippi, this was really important. And to me, I always think that a lot of people need to practice this or go through this form of searching. So when I was in Mississippi, the only thing that I could do is fish and hunt and things like that. And when I would fish, it would be nobody there because it's just me in the middle of the woods at a pond. And I would just be sitting there thinking and fishing. And then when I would think, I would talk, and I got to learn myself and say, Mark, you know, you Mark. You know, and I got to start thinking, you know, and I'm like, well, if I'm gonna be out here thinking, I want to be thinking about good things, positive. So I start writing music in my head while I'm out there, and that's when I really learned my gift. That's when I really found my true niche in life by being alone. Some people have to go to prison sometimes to find themselves. Not me. I just created in all silence.
What year was this?
This was 1984, and I came to Atlanta in 1985.
So a year afterwards, after going to Mississippi, you came to Atlanta.
No, we went to Mississippi we went to Mississippi. I moved to Mississippi in like 1983.
Okay.
82. We stayed there for a short period of time, 2 years or so.
Okay.
And when I got there, that's when I learned that I had a big gospel family, like the Jackson Southerners are my cousins, the William brothers are my cousins,
Okay.
Brandy and Ray J are my cousins, and my mother, you know, on my mother's side. So I got to learn that I had a very talented family on the other side that were into gospel.
Okay.
So, you know, down in Mississippi, it's a whole bunch of going to revivals and things like that. That's the only thing you had to do is either go to revival or go to Walmart or something like that, because there's nothing else to do. It's the only place to see people.
You mentioned Mississippi, man. You know, the only grandfather I know is my stepmother's father, and he raised me as well from Liberty, Mississippi.
Wow, Liberty.
Yeah,
Yes.
on the way to New Orleans.
Liberty, Mississippi.
It's pretty deep, and I appreciate you getting your roots,
Yeah.
finding yourself. What was the food like?
Food was man. Country food is you come home from school, you stop by your own garden that you're growing potatoes, field peas, watermelons. You have your pigs out there. You have your cows, so you have a slaughterhouse. So it's not like you go into the grocery store to buy food. Everything that is in the pasture.
Yeah.
So you got to take it from the pasture to the plate.
Yeah.
So that was a really good learning experience, because what I learned from that was that I should never go hungry as long as I know how to pick. You know, either pick the people I'm around or go pick something off of that garden.
Yeah.
And I would go take a potato every day, and I would come home, wrap the potato up in aluminum foil and put it in the fireplace under the coals that were burning, or the wood was burning. I go take a shower, come back, man, tear that potato up.
Yeah,
It's country.
That's real. It's funny. We'll come back to some of the skills you probably developed then that you now put into work now. But getting to Atlanta, what was the culture shock like? You coming from up north, the Northeast, tri-state area, obviously, and now you are in the South. Mississippi had to be a culture shock. What about the transition to Atlanta? How did that feel?
Well, remember I told you in Mississippi I found my
Yourself.
true niche.
Yes.
So when I came to Atlanta, I was an animal. So I went to Lakeshore High School, over at Janus Drive over in East Point. And I went to school with like Dallas Austin and Divine Stevens.
Wow.
And so we were all in school. And so I was going through winning all of the talent shows, the Gong Show, whatever kind of show they had. It was over. We were ready to break dance. We were ready to rap. And then I also, we formed a DJ group back then called Music Madness. Me and two of my good friends that went on to produce some music for Tupac, and Chris and Conrad Rosser. They went, and Tupac used to go over to their house to record a lot. So it was, we had the music group, DJing group, and so I was just kind of like the hip guy in school. So then Dallas had said to me one time, he said, "Man, if you ever take your music career serious, I can help you." But I never thought that he could help me. I just thought he was just a friend. I'm like, how can you help me? You're my friend.
Wow.
Then I looked at him one day, I was like, he really could have helped me.
So did you get a chance to see like that evolution for guys like Dallas Austin, Divine Stevens? You were right there.
Right there. I seen from Dallas was in school. I used to see Dallas cut school and leave school and go get inside he had a BMW 318 and convertible, something like that. And he would just go and I'm like, man, this guy never comes to school.
Yeah.
And that was, they had Silk Times leather, I think, and he might have was working with Boys to Men, and like T-Boz went to Tri-City.
Oh wow!
And I knew her very well.
Okay.
And I remember I used to call her and I say, T-Boz, Tion, what you doing? She said, I had to call you back. I'm rehearsing. I'm like, rehearsing for what? We have a group called TLC. I'm like, man, that group ain't never going nowhere. And then the next thing you know, they was on TV.
Outta
I was
here.
like, wow, they
Yeah.
really did it.
Wow.
So I got to see all of this I seen Akon. Akon when they was over on Northside Drive, him and Divine, and they'd be like, yo, Mark, can you come over and help Akon write some music? And I go over there, help him try to write. Akon, I saw him, all the boys in the hood.
Yeah.
Big Duke, even Jeezy.
Yeah.
I took them. I don't want to talk a lot.
No, listen, Mark. This is this is about the connectivity of music. So everything you speaking to is proper. I do want to ask you. You came across Tupac early then.
Yes.
So what year was that?
Tupac came around. Example. We was at the rim shop, so we always had the rim shops. Well, Greg and them Detroit, and the rim shop started on Old National.
Yeah.
It was on Old National, and then it moved to Covington Highway. Then it moved to Midtown, and then finally from Midtown we went to Peachtree. So the rim shop was almost like the go-to place for the Goody Mob. Everybody was their Usher. We put the rims on Usher's car, we put the rims on Chili's car. Left Eye, Eric Sermon, Too Short. So all of these people were migrating into Atlanta, and they would come and be at the rim shop. So it was kind of like the way we got to know everybody in the industry. But meeting them made me not as hungry. So I didn't have to say, because I'm around Too Short, I'm a rap and I'm a sign to Too Short. I was around Too Short. Too Short wanted to sign me to Jive, but I ended up signing the Bad Boy. Right. Eric Sermon wanted to sign me, but I ended up signing the Bad Boy.
How do you think your life would have changed had you signed with one of them?
I can honestly say that as far as life and as far as living, the things that I've been through made me so strong that I wouldn't change much about me. I just say that I'm happy with the things that I went through, because maybe it wasn't meant for me to be that big superstar, because I noticed all of the biggest superstars were losing their lives. Biggie Small was losing his life. He lost his life. You got Tupac lost his life. All of the great stars of people that we look up to, I'm like, man, I'm seeing them fall. And I was like, maybe it's just not meant for me to do that. Maybe God has a different plan for me. So maybe let me not get mad. Remember, I told you I had to learn. Yeah. Let me not get upset for what's not going right in my life, and let me grasp hold to who I am and make something out of myself. I'm not going to get mad about I wasn't able to have an album or rap album. Or I was like, man, that's nothing. I can move on. I can write a book. Yeah. I said, most people say, hey, what happened to your music career? I said, nothing happened to it. I just ended up being an author. I'm still writing. I just don't have to make words rhyme.
Yeah. Sublimated your talents into something else.
It was a lot better because I didn't have to make forced words to fit a pattern.
Yeah.
I was like, I can just write this right here, and it's just the truth, and that means more than trying to make. It's very few words. It's not many words that you have to choose over. Crazy things like, even with feelings and the way and expressing yourself, it's not even enough words to describe every feeling the human being goes through or on a person's mind. So words are very limited. So once we are trying to rap the truth and we're working with limited words, it's hard to express it sometimes. So what you're having is a whole bunch of different wordplay. What you hear nowadays, everybody's saying the same kind of words. So it's just like remixing the same words, the same meaning. So, I was the different guy, man. I used to walk around reading thesauruses, dictionaries, different ways to say things. I never wanted to say the same thing that other people would say. I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna find a different way to say the same thing, and then I'm gonna be known for that way of saying it.
Yeah. What was your first encounter with Tupac like?
Okay.
Meeting him, what was that energy like?
He used to come to the rim shop all the time. And when he come to the rim shop, that was the place to hang out. For an example, when he had the shootout with the one downtown.
Okay, downtown.
Okay, we did Too Short's car. Too Short had a Cadillac, and he wanted the Rolls Royce front put on it. So we took Tupac's car, Greg and them, and customized it, and then they put the Rolls Royce grill on it, And when Tupac, so that was from Oakland. So, he was from
Yeah.
Oakland. Everybody was coming from Oakland down here. And if you remember the Freaknik, those kind of things, where you had people from Detroit that were migrating down to Atlanta, and they'll come down with 100 cars, 100 guys, all of them money. And so you had Wisconsin that was coming. You had Minnesota that was coming. They was coming from all over the place. Oakland happened to have a crew that was coming out here. And a lot of them would leave their cars at the rim shop when they go home, or we're going to leave the car here. So we were known for working on a lot of celebrities out of Oakland's vehicle. And one of the person that sent the car down here for us to do was Tupac.
What kind of car was it?
It was the same Cadillac. He wanted the Cadillac like
Really?
Too Shorts.
Okay.
So we did his car, and then so he would come to the rim shop almost every day. It was MC Breed. You remember
Before that song?
it was
Gotta
it
Get
was
Mine?
Itchy Band. Remember Itchy Band was
Itchy
out
Bond,
here?
yeah,
Itchy
yeah.
Bond Records?
Yeah.
So then that was Breed, and
Flint,
then
Michigan.
Yep. Breed ended up doing some songs with Tupac. I Gotta Get Yours, Get Mine.
Yeah.
And then right around that time, everybody was at the rim shop. So when Tupac left the rim shop one day to go get some blunts, and then you sitting there, you heard someone go pop, 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 and guess what that was?
That was Pac. That was the shootout with the police. Mm-hmm. So that was downtown.
Yeah, he just left the rim shop.
Wow.
To go get some Philly blunts, and then that happened.
So so when he got in the shootout with the police, they were undercover, right?
Yeah.
So he didn't know they were just white
People
cats
in the
as far
street.
as he
Yeah,
knew.
it's probably yeah. And
So he
Diamond
comes
D
back-
was in the car with him too.
Diamond D,
Yeah,
digging in the crates.
Yeah, digging in the crates. things that we find out years later. You
Right.
know,
Right.
And things like that.
So did he get arrested right after that took place?
Hold on. So excuse me. So we can make sure as Diamond D was allegedly in the car. So that way, if
Duly
anyone want to
noted.
say,
Yeah.
but he was, but I just want to say that,
Yeah.
just in case.
Yes, understood.
Yes.
So when that incident took place, did Pac come back into the rim shop? Did he?
Okay.
Yeah. How did that happen?
Pac, what happened? I'm gonna give you some good stories, boy. It's
Yeah.
gonna be a good one. So Breed was doing Clark Atlanta University, and Breed was doing the homecoming, and he was going to perform "Gotta Get Mine, Gotta Get Yours," and Tupac had just had the shootout, and he wasn't nowhere around. Mm-hmm. And then so when Breed was at the CAU, and everybody's there, all of a sudden when he's playing his music, Pac comes out. And he comes out, he does his verse, he showed out. He had the Pac was walking around at one time with bandages on and things like that. He'll come to the club, we're moving fast.
Yeah.
When he did the CAU with Breed, and the police was on the side of the stage they wanted to, arrest Pac. And when Pac did his verse, he jumped into the crowd, and the people windsurfed him to the front door, and he left.
So it was packed.
Packed. He jumped in the crowd, and they windsurfed him right on out of there because they knew the police was on both sides. Like, yeah, you get off this stage, we taking you down. Yeah. And so that was Tupac. Then we had the Platinum House, the club. Another friend of mine, he had the club, him and his wife, and I used to work at the club. And so Tupac would come into the club all the time. Like even when we were closed, it's like I'm going to the Platinum House. So he'll come up there. Come in the club and just stand in the middle of the dance floor and just let all of the girls just crowd around him and start dancing.
So wait, Mark, you gotta take me through this. This is interesting, right? So Pac, was his energy such when he would come into these spots like that, the women just loved him?
Loved him, but he had high energy.
Okay.
So that means a lot of high energy. Want to argue, fight.
Okay, so he was angry. It's seemingly like he got into a lot of altercations.
I didn't like hanging out with him. To say it in so many words, I would be like, man, it's too much. He's too fiery. I don't want to go to the club. I don't want to be arguing with people in the street for no reason. So that's just how he was. Very liberal, boisterous, very strong in character. But sometimes what I learned from him is you don't always have to voice your opinion. You could sometimes keep your opinion to yourself and just actually work it out. Do it. Let people see you bringing that change by actually doing what you're doing instead of talking about it. Don't talk about it, just do it.
Did you ever witness some almost altercations with, say, some other notable people that Pac was in the midst of, where it looked like it was gonna go left because of the energy you're speaking on?
Nah. I'll tell you another one. This is a good one. Before Tupac went to New York to the Quiet Studio, right? He dropped his car off at the rim shop and had Greg drop him off. He came to the rim shop and had Greg take him to the airport in his car. And when he dropped him off to the airport, came back to the shop, Tupac went to New York, and that's when he had the incident in the Quiet.
Wow.
That's just how Atlanta was, like how close knitted we were in Atlanta. From all Jermaine Dupri, even Criss Cross, Chris Kelly, both of them. The Goody Mob again, Cujo. Everybody was at this rim. We was like a family if you think about Atlanta and the music
Car
scene
culture.
that then. Yeah, we was everybody was the Rico Wade, the Dungeon Family. All of us were like together. It was a real good moment.
Good energy in the city at that time.
Redman, Keith Murray. You name them all. Everybody, we were all friends. That's how I got to know everybody.
Wow. So this, when Pac Quad Studios was like, what, 93, 92, 93? You know?
I can't remember what year it was.
Yeah, but it was definitely well before he died.
Couple of years.
Yeah, a couple years before he died. And then you get signed, a year after he died. What was finding out he died like for you, when he got shot?
When he got shot, it was kind of like confusing because we didn't know who shot him. And it would have been easier to deal with if they would have said he got shot by that person right there. And you say, okay, now I see who did it, I see what they did, and I see the effect. But with him, you never saw or never knew. It's still like Biggie Smalls, nobody knows who actually shot him. And those kind of things, they leave you wondering, like I wonder, why is it so hard for them to find the person that did this? When so many people was around, nobody saw it. So it's like, wow, how can something like this happen and nobody see it? Yeah. And then it was an incident. I don't want to move forward unless you say okay. Yeah. It was an incident at the club where one day we had a party for Jermaine Dupri. Is on his birthday, September 23rd. First day of fall. That's how the book starts. And so when Suge Knight came and Jermaine and it was there, Dallas was there, everybody was at the club. And this night, Suge Knight came looking. He came looking for Puff, and he found Puff. They had some words. We don't have to go all the way into those words, but he had some words. They exchanged words. As a result, when Suge was walking out the club, his friend, Jake Robles at the time, somebody shot him, and he died. So I'm getting back to, you asked the question about nobody really sees when you're not going to see it. Like if you hear a gunshot, the first thing you think is either duck or close your eyes. So when you open your eyes, the only thing you're going to see is somebody on the floor. So to close my eyes and open them and then see a man laying there on the floor was like, wow, what just happened? And then the instinct is close your eyes. You're not supposed to see it. Yeah. But when you open your eyes, God had already been here. Came and left.
Wow. I know that Puff and Suge were cool.
At one point.
At one point, right?
Yeah.
Was that like leading up to this whole incident that transpired, so to speak?
Well, I can tell you this much. Every artist, from Bow Wow to TL's Left Eye, Chili was Suge's girlfriend. And Suge, that was Dallas' baby mama, and she was signed to L.A. Reid over there. Then everybody was having these little flings and things going on with the artists and you know what I'm saying. And Suge was at the time was kind of like extorting labels out of their artists. Remember when he said, if you don't want to be on your label and you want to be signed to a label, well, come on over to Death Row. He was serious, and it wasn't just about Puffy or Biggie or whatever it was. It's about whoever is unhappy with your record deal. You talk to me, and I'm gonna come get you out of that deal. And his tactics for getting people out of those deals was a little bit different than when people thought. He's not going to walk in there and be like, I'm interested in having your artist. He's going to walk in there and this is what we're going to do. Either we're going to do it this way or we're going to do it this way. And then you'll be sitting there looking. You'll be like, so what do you think? Because Suge had a bad reputation. I don't know if you remember this. When with beating people up and putting broomsticks and things in their rear ends and making them drink.
Yeah, I heard about the drinking urine.
Yeah, drinking urine.
So that's a true story.
Yeah, and if you read the history on that, he's been doing that since college. Yeah.
So,
the industry was scared of him at that time.
No, they were. Even I could tell you about an incident in 2007. I went to the BET Awards, and there was a party that Nick Cannon was DJing. There was a number of people that were there. Man's Chinese Theater, and it was supposed to be, the fire marshal shut it down. And some way, somehow, Suge got in there. And when he got in there, it was like the Goot showed up.
Yeah.
And everybody got out. Every celebrity, when they was there, Suge is outside, it was like he coming in the front door and we going out the back door. And to see it real time, it was different. But I heard about those incidents, in Suge's tactics, obviously. So this happens to Jake. He gets killed, unfortunately, here in Atlanta. I've heard that name. So did you know Jake?
I didn't know him.
Okay.
But I was there the night that happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, did you, at that point, were you in communication with Puff? Okay, so you didn't even know him like that.
Yeah, because all of my friends, to me, my celebrity were my friends. Like I already knew Too Short.
Yeah.
I already know Eric. It's not a such thing as I don't need a friend. I don't need to know Puffy in order to go to the studio and do music. I'm like, he's just somebody who does music. It's not somebody that I'm I don't, it's not meeting him. It's not
mandatory.
It's not.
Yeah. So with that going on, you're at the Rim Shop. You're also at this club. So you're seeing some of everybody.
Yep.
What were some of the most? What was one of the more unusual nights, or celebrity sightings, so to speak, that you witnessed in the club?
The most. This one is not in this club. The most craziest moment was one time we was in the Bahamas hanging out with Grace Jones, and she used to come to the studio all the time. And then Mike Mace's brother used to be like, "Me love you long time." He used to just keep saying that, "Me love you long time." Grace Jones, she party hard. Yeah. So you be like, Grace is here. I'm not going with Grace nowhere. Yeah. Cause she's not coming back to 5, 6 in the morning. She goes hard. Yeah. So and when she used to come to the studio, she used to be like, "All right, we going out?" We'd be like, "No, Grace." No, Grace.
So was she cool with Puff too?
Yeah, she was cool with Puff. That's the only reason why I was meeting her, because she was in there coming to see Puff, and then we there be like, "Dang, Grace Jones."
Okay. So she was turned up more than him.
Yeah. I remember one time I was on stage performing with Puff, and we was at the inauguration for one of these presidents, and Michael Jackson was just performed. And then when we got on stage to perform, I saw Michael Jackson on the side looking at us. That was crazy.
That was crazy.
Yeah,
so
that was crazy.
Was he there when you got off stage?
Yeah, I don't know what happened after that, but after I got off stage, it was about me then. Yeah, I'm going to go out here and figure out what I'm going to do today. Yeah. You know, so yeah. Wow. Yep, Michael Jackson.
That's amazing, man. You clearly had a lot of moments. Take me through the period of Freaknik. Freaknik, the documentary just dropped. Interestingly enough, I saw my ex-girlfriend in there. Like my frat brothers were sitting me. I was like,
Yeah, a lot. Yeah.
I was like, okay, like it was one of those. What do you remember about that time, Freaknik in Atlanta?
Freaknik in Atlanta. Well, see, remember before we had Jack the Rapper.
Mm-hmm.
So we had Jack the Rapper, and then Jack the Rapper. Then it came into Freaknik. So then when Freaknik came, I remember we was riding down the street in the Mustangs on the Daytons, like on Minister Society. Gold Dayton's, trucks with the beds spinning all the way around. We just get on Peachtree in this park, get a hotel room. You go take your car out, and then the crazy thing was a lot of people would come to Atlanta and they wouldn't have no hotel. You'd be like, so where y'all staying? Well, we ain't got a place.
I knew that.
And you'd be like,
Yeah.
what? So then you'd be like, well, y'all want to get in the car and come over? And then that's what Freaknik was. But Freaknik was just the same as going to Hugh Hefner's house. Freaknik could possibly be the same as people going to Puffy's house. That don't mean that just because they go into his house that these are the things that's going to take place. It was, so it's
one of those.
It's one of those kind of things.
Did you ever meet or encounter anybody at Freaknik that wasn't well known then, but became well known that might have been doing some things that, this is before social media in its real true essence, so maybe some folks who didn't get caught out there on camera.
It's a lot of people's mamas, so you'd be like, it's a lot of, what was the next generation?
Oh man, I mean.
We was Generation X, they Generation Y, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot of kids
I think it is Y.
in Generation Y that came from the Freaknik. Freaknik babies,
just hearing about it, and I never made it to Freaknik.
You didn't?
I didn't.
Man.
I missed out on that. But obviously it was a thing and all the artists would come through here. So just knowing you got signed kind of as it was winding down, right?
Yeah,
so
right on the tail end.
On the tail end.
There was no more fun at the end.
Yeah.
The city wouldn't even let Freaknik come here no more.
Yeah. Tell us about how your deal came about with Bad Boy.
I was doing music in L.A. I lived in L.A. Studio was on Hollywood and Cahuenga. And I used to just go to the studio and work all the time. After I left Atlanta, we went to Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And I was working out there. And then one of Puff's friends that happened to be, it was my friend at the time too, he let Puff hear my music. And one day he called me about 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning. Puff is weird like that. He calls weird hours. He called me about 2, 3 in the morning and said, Playboy, I want to sign you to the label. I said, who? I said, he said, yeah, tomorrow I'll fly you out, and then we can catch up. And then I'm going to be going, so I flew to New York. Okay, he want to sign me. He said, and then we getting ready to go on tour. At the time, they were on the No Way Out tour. He said, I want to take you out on tour so you can come see what the life is like. I said, okay. So me and my guy, my producer that I took to L.A. with me from Atlanta, we went on a tour. So we on the tour. And so we like, yo, we need to make some money. How we gonna make some money? So then he'll be like, Playboy, I got these tickets. These the tickets. Like he'll go and buy the tickets from Ticketmaster, buy the tickets, and then give them to me. And then I'm gonna go out there in front of the stadium before the concert and try to sell the tickets for a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And then the ones that I didn't sell, I give it back to him. He trade them into Ticketmaster. They give him his money back. So I was like, man, and I was making $5 a ticket. I said, man, I don't want $5.
What do you mean you were only making $5 a ticket?
So if the ticket was $100 and he paid $100 for a ticket, if I sold the ticket for $150, I would make like $5, something.
So you
small.
Gave him an extra $45?
That's what he was doing. That's what so many artists were doing this. It's when you having a concert.
No,
I get it.
You
get it?
I'm just thinking like, but Pup, that was the split.
That
going out there standing out front of
the
venue.
Yeah.
And $150, you just got $5?
Yeah, that's why I stopped that one quick.
Yeah.
I quit that one soon. I said, I came back. I said, look, man, I don't think selling tickets is for me.
Did it give you any indication on what the type of deals he might like to do? Did that tell you like, okay, this is how it's going to be working with him?
It didn't really do that. What it did was make me say, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
And then I said, I'm going to have something else to sell. So then they gave me the backstage passes. He said,
you
I
can
got
make
these
some money
back.
on
Now I
those.
can make. I was selling them for $500 a piece.
There you
So
go.
I have like 5 of them when we first get to some place. I know I'm going to make $2,000 real quick. I sell them tickets. Then all of a sudden, when we used to get off the stage, it was so many different faces that was in the dressing room. He was like, "Where all these people coming from?" I was like, "Passes."
Yeah.
So
Okay.
they took the
They
passes
said,
from
no,
me.
no more
no
for
more
Mark.
passes.
Wow.
No more passes.
And so that was where you were making the bulk of the money outside of anything else, obviously, right?
It's
Was
just,
being
you
able
know,
to
we
sell
was
those
more.
passes.
Puffy wasn't even the rich guy he was back then. Remember, in 1995 or so, he just really was getting put on in 1995. So 93, 90, and all of that, 89 and all of that. He wasn't someone that you'd be like, oh my God, this Puff. You know,
He wasn't a billionaire.
He wasn't even like a powerful mogul to me at then. He was just somebody. You know, same thing. Well, you know, you had Dallas and them. You be like, well, Dallas and them is my friend.
Yeah.
And they big, just as big as him. Jermaine Dupri's just as big as him.
Yeah.
You know, so you would never look at him and be like, wow, Puff. You'd be like, wow, Jermaine.
Yeah.
You know, wow, Dallas.
You
wow,
would think that of
Divine.
Jermaine at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I want to jump into one of the segments here that is very key and important. It's called Truth and Taste, right? And so we like to break bread with our family here on the Culture Club, and I want to let you get into this meal. If you don't
Oh,
mind.
my.
All
I
right?
smell it.
Yeah. Like, why don't you go ahead and take the top off of that, Mark? Let's make sure.
Oh, that's a pizza.
Yeah, now that's a Chicago-style deep dish pizza.
Right.
Okay, and I know you from up top, and typically a New York slice is obviously that's a big slice, and it's a great pizza.
It
You know
looks
what I'm
good.
saying? So I want you to, because now listen, it's all veggie, just so you know.
Right.
Okay.
All
Just want to make sure
vegetables.
you know what I'm saying.
That's right.
I know you don't eat pork,
Right.
right? But let's let you get into that real quick, and then tell me about your Chicago experience. Obviously, you and Carl Thomas. He's from Chicago, and what has your experience been like traveling through that city? Is that one
Chicago?
of the places? Yeah.
It was a guy we used to know out of Chicago. It was an old head. I can't remember his name. Chicago was a very different place because it was a lot of go-getters. It's real, like, the gangsters came from Chicago.
Real time.
So I got to meet a whole bunch of gangsters from Chicago and Detroit. It was Chicago, Detroit, Midwest. So it was learning the different culture, especially when it came to hip hop in Chicago, like in Detroit. Like Detroit didn't have a style of rap. They might have had Royce the 5'9". There wasn't no Eminem. It was Trick. It was a different style of music, and Detroit was like a place, and same thing with Chicago. You'd be like, I wonder what kind of style of music are they gonna come up with? Because Atlanta, Georgia had the South. We had the South. We had West Coast music, and then we had New York music. But you didn't really hear or see too many artists coming out of the Midwest.
Yeah. Interesting. I know you see your boy Greg with the rim shop. He's from Detroit.
Excuse me.
Oh yeah. Tell us that's Nancy's pizza. Shout out to them, man. What is it? It's good?
Very Nancy's.
Okay. Yeah.
Where's this at? I think
Yeah.
everybody should go get a piece of this.
Yeah, Nancy's Pizza, man. They got a few locations in the Chicago style. Shout out to the Shy Man as well, man.
Excuse
on
me,
that.
I'm gonna have to do
Yeah,
twice.
yeah, do your thing, man. But just understanding what that was in the Midwest is kind of interesting because it's like it's learning. I mean, did you ever come across R. Kelly out there?
No R. Kelly.
Okay.
No R. Kelly.
And you didn't hang out with Carl Thomas in his city at that time, did you?
New York.
New York. Wow.
Never hung out with him in Chicago. When I went to Chicago, I was hanging out with gangsters. It was a different walk.
Right.
It's one thing about the industry people don't understand is the music industry is not just music. The music industry is in the street, so it's kind of like a fast life.
Right.
It's money,
Yeah.
cars, jewelry, women, and drugs. They say, excuse me. You know how they say sex, drugs, and rock and roll?
Yes.
That was a slogan that they was saying for so long, but you never heard them say sex, drugs, and hip hop. So as soon as we started mixing hip hop with sex and drugs, now we're wrong. And they started coming up. It's like when we say freaknik, we having freaknik, but then they'll want to for an example, what's going on now with they saying Puffy's having parties and things in his house. And before we labeled it Freaknik, maybe he's just what's the difference in what we were doing and what he's doing?
Yeah,
I'm not saying I condoning any of his actions or whatever, because he's not guilty of anything right now until they find him guilty. So what was he doing that was so wrong with partying at his house?
And that's an interesting point, Mark, because I realized that when we talk about Freaknik and we talk about just wild, crazy parties, you sometimes find that there are women who have a very strong appetite, and they enjoy maybe some of that energy. You know what I mean? But when it's when it's not, or when it's against their will, when it's not something that they want to engage in, it definitely is a huge problem. And I think that obviously hip hop, it's easy for hip hop to become the poster child because of the lyrics, right? Because of what we all know, the culture that we grew up in. But this stuff was also encouraged by labels.
Right now, yes, because what we're looking is desensitizing. What happened was they let us do too much. They let the wrong subjects in music be played on the radio. Because back when we did music, if you curse, you couldn't even say ASS on a rap song. They'd be like, bleep it out. No, we can't use that song. It's not radio friendly. So your song had to be radio friendly. So it was certain subjects that you couldn't, even when NWA said F the police, that was a problem. Because they was like, you're saying F the police. Now, look at what's going on. It's even worse. So, what happened is they said, okay, we'll water down the music, take the meaning out of it, take their culture away from them, right?
Yeah.
Give it away for free on the internet. They're not going to be buying this stuff anymore. We're going to go get it from YouTube. Download it. It's free. So it kind of left us in a real, we put ourselves in a bad situation.
Yeah. I know that, upon getting signed, that had to be different. Obviously, at that time, you spent a lot more time around Puff. And, you said he wasn't the person that many people know him to be today in terms of the magnitude, the businessman, the mogul that he evolved into. What was that time like? I mean, have you ever seen Puff do anything or use his power in a negative way over other people?
Me. He used his power in the wrong way over me. And that's one of the gripes that I have with him. Just because you're puffy, just because you're this powerful person, don't mean that you can mess over my dreams. And I don't value you more than I value my dreams. So to see my dreams just fall away and you be like, bro, I thought you said that we was gonna do this and this. You was like, and there was no answer for it. There was never an answer for it. So the only thing I could do was, and I would have like my girl. She would say, Mark, if that didn't work for you, I believe in you, and I love you, and I think you're handsome, and I think you're great, and I like your music. I was like, you like my music? She's, yeah, I like your music. She was like, I want to listen to it and go to work. So she'd be going to work or riding around in the house listening to my music, and I was like, wow. You know what I'm saying? That was the push that I needed.
That's dope. What was, for him to speak like that in that manner, because obviously he sold you a lot. He told you a lot of things were going to happen. He was talking about the life. He took you out on the No Way Out tour. What are those conversations like? Because I get the impression visually in my mind that, you could be starving and he could be eating a full meal.
It's a good vision.
Oh, so that's how it was.
Because when I first met him, he said, I can remember these words, word for word. He said, welcome to Bad Boy, where all your dreams can come true. That's what he said. And
he sold it.
And I thought that, hey, man, this was it. I even had it on film. I would sit back and watch, welcome to Bad Boy, where all your dreams and everything you want to do can come true. I was like, wow. Went all the way from this to we ain't going nowhere and never went nowhere. And when I did the Bad Boy for Life, I happened to have one of the nicest verses on the album, and I just knew after Bad Boy for Life that my album was coming out next. I'm like, okay, it's going to be my time. And so they came out with Loon album. I'm like, I was signed to the label before Loon. I was signed to the label before G Dep. So I'd be like, what's going on with my album? Like, I'm ready to put this album together and go out there and be Mark Curry. And then they finally told me in his office, because I used to go to this lady named Francesca Spiro. Everybody remember that name. Google the name. Francesca Spiro. I go into her office and she worked for Puff. She was the one that handled all the administration and how things were signed and filled out with ASCAP, BMI, whatever it may be, EMI. So she told me one day, she said, Mark, you ain't going to have an album. She said, you don't have a budget. And I said, I don't have a budget. Then I went to Puff. I said, Puff, what does she mean I don't have no budget? He said, Playboy, you need to holler at your manager. I'm like, holler at my manager? I thought what happened was I didn't have a budget. The budget, you know, back in those days when you were doing music, if you flew to a hotel in Louisiana for 2 weeks, it's coming out your budget. Like, you have artists like Black Rob, who had the opportunity to do his album, but once he finished his album, he did not know that he's going to be $2 million in debt. So in order for me to get royalty checks, first I'm going to have to recoup $2 million or whatever the amount of that recording budget was. So I would always get royalty checks because I never had an album like that. So I still did the Godzilla. I get royalty checks. I say, Rob, you didn't get your check? He said, what check? I said, you get a check. He said, I ain't get no check.
He got not one royalty check.
G Dep didn't know that about these checks. Like what happens, it was EMI. EMI was the parent. Puff used to get they'll draw from EMI handles whatever administration. Puff had Janice Combs, so EMI would send the money to Janice Combs Publishing. Then in return, Janice Combs would look at see how much you got to recoup, and then give you your check from there. So I was like, EMI is giving you, because he was handling the administration. I said, I don't want him handling my administration. I handle my own administration. And from now on, when my check comes, I want my check to come straight from y'all and direct deposit into my bank. I do not want y'all giving my money to him and then he gives me money, because I don't like the way that goes.
How did he receive that?
The check?
No.
How did he receive
that
it?
message?
One time he was like, because this is how I was on him. I didn't play with him. And recently, when he gave everybody the publishing back, and he called and he said, Mark, I just want you to be one of the first people to know I'm giving your publishing back. I was like, wow. I said, well, how about this? You giving me the publishing back? I was like, yeah, thanks. I said, now it's mine now, right? Yeah, now I want to sell it to you. I said, don't even give it to me now. You just keep it and just give me some money. Now I want you to do what you feel you, and I already know you know what to do. I was like, yeah, go sell it. I was selling everybody's publishing. Like, that's one thing about me. I learned so much about the industry. I knew the Indians in California with the Advanced Royalty Network, and I have a friendship with them. I could call and say, hey, man, this person right here, can you get him 10 years worth of his money up front, or 4 or 5 years worth of his money? He wants to get a loan against his publishing stream, because it wasn't a such thing as a bank that would actually finance, or even, you'd be like, well, you have any assets? You'd be like, yeah, I wrote Godzilla. They'd be like, we can't give you no money off of that. We need something else. You ain't got no property? I said, well, I got Godzilla. I mean, to me, that's property. That's something big. Nobody would finance anything like that. So I found one company a long time ago. They would finance and help you get money off of your music. So when I knew that, every time I met an artist that was going through things, I would say, listen, I can help you get some money. But the money that I'm going to get you, you're going to have to be very careful and real wise on how you spend it, because once you take this money, you're not going to make money for another 4 years. So they're going to give you 4 years of your money up front. But if you go buy a Bentley and a house, and then whatever else that you think that you want to get, go buy. People would be like, oh, I'm going to go buy new studio equipment. I'd be like, why would you take money to go buy more studio equipment? Take your money and invest it in something else that makes more money. That's when we start getting smart. You'd be like, before I spend this money, let me go at least make some more money off of it right quick, and then I'll go spend what I made off of it, but I'm going to still keep my solid bulk of money, right?
Yeah, so, man, your interactions with him after letting him know about your publishing.
Oh, he didn't like that.
So he didn't like that. How did he begin to handle you from that point moving forward?
He knew I was smart. He was like, yo, I was like, man, I'm not waiting. I don't have to wait. I was like, I've handled my own administration, and I can call EMI and let them know this is how I want to do my business moving forward. It was easy. I have my split sheet. I'm like, what do you mean? I have the split sheet right here that says that I own a certain percentage of this song right here. And since I own a certain percentage of this song right here, you have a deal with him to administer his publishing. I don't want him administering mine. The name of my publishing was Me Again Music, right? Because I had a son, Me Again. I was giving my publishing to him. So that was it. That's mine.
Wow.
That's mine. He didn't like that.
Yeah, clearly.
Because
you were there when Big got killed.
when Big got killed, I was in Los Angeles. I was there. But when they went out, I remember I told you I'm in the studio. And this was before we had internet. And another thing, Puff is just exactly what the internet is today. He was a person that had people that had emails, and they had relationships with radio. They had a radio person. They had a B market radio person, marketing promotion. So that's what it was. There was no internet. So when I would record a song in Los Angeles, I couldn't email it to him. I had to actually put it on a disc and burn it, either FedEx it, or if you're going to be in Los Angeles, I'm going to come and bring the disc to you. So when they came down to, for that award, I was in the studio trying to complete the projects that I was working on so I can give him the CD to go back to New York with. I hung out with him one night. One night I hung out with him. We went to a club, I think it was Bar One in Los Angeles. We went out. I met, hung out Carl Thomas. This is like when I really was meeting him. I met Carl Thomas. We took pictures. And then Biggie was there. And then, so I went back home to the studio. And then the next morning, crazy. The person who I was working at the time at the studio, his name was D1. And the police went and raided his house and took the pictures that he took with Biggie the night before Biggie had got killed. Right? I was there. But I didn't go out that night. And it was just like a tragic moment. But yeah, I was there.
Man, I know that you had a close relationship with Black Rob.
Very.
And you were there when he passed.
I was holding his hand. He died holding my hand.
Right. In Atlanta.
Right.
So, just understanding what you said about Black Rob, the publishing, and so many other artists' stories.
Hold I don't want to interrupt you, but when you say things like this, some things come to me. With Black Rob, remember I told you he didn't know about getting his publishing check. So what happened was Black Rob was in child support. So it was one girl. He had three child support cases. One of them was like 300 and something thousand. One of them was like 50,000, and then one of them was 2 million, or it was millions, an astronomical amount of dollars, $1 million or something like that. And it was one baby mama that was taken into court for that. So he never was getting his money. He never was getting publishing. So to sit back and watch him, I'd be like, wow, you Black Rob, you just did, whoa, you on stage and you don't have no money. So you'd be like, wow, now you get to see, like, it doesn't really matter if you're famous. If you don't have no business savvy, you don't have the business to go along with it, it's a dangerous business. So what I would do, he lived out here with me at one time, and that's when I was like, I'm going to help you get your stuff together. I said, okay, we're going to get your publishing together. We're going to get you a new court date set up so you can go to court and have them look at your child support case and maybe bring some of those, because when he first did the album, they based his child support off of how much money he made that year. So he was like, if he made a $3 million on 1980 whatever, that don't mean he's going to make it in 84, 85, 86. So sometimes the money changes. So the money changes, but the child support don't change. So he was into that case. So yeah, I would help him try to settle his case with the court. I would help him try to get money in publishing. I knew his lawyer. would save a little bit of money instead of giving everything to court. They would save him a little bit of money, but he didn't have he didn't have a bank account because you can't have a bank account. You're on child support. He didn't have a license.
Wow.
So I'd be like, send Black Rob money to me, or I'll get your money and I hold it for you, and then when you need it, I got it.
Yeah.
We was brother. He used to be like, Mark, the only person I want holding my money is you.
It seemed like y'all had a really a genuine bond, in his last days when he got to Atlanta. Like he needed you in that moment. It seemed like.
That's what he said. He said that the night before he passed, he had a caretaker. Her name is Queen, the lady Dunn, and he told her, call Mark Curry and tell him to come over here in the morning. And so she called me. She was like, Mark, Rob wants you to come over here. So I was like, okay. So when I got up, I was going to work, and for some reason, I'm driving to work, and my car is going downtown. I'm like, what the heck is going on? I'm supposed to be going this way. I got to go to work. So something was like, go down there and see him right fast before you go to work. Go see about him. So I went down to the hotel, knocked on the door, and he didn't answer. So Queen came, and she said, I have a key. So when she opened the door, he said, you heard him say, Curry. She said, I got Mark Curry with me. He said, Curry, I just fell. He said, I just fell. I was over there standing up, and I just fell. He was like, yo, I can't feel my legs. He was like, I can't feel my legs, Curry. I said, yo, we're going to have to get you to a hospital. He was like, I can't feel my legs. He said, yo, I got to get my legs going. I need my legs. So I said, okay, well, we're going to get you to the hospital. He was like, I don't want to go to the hospital. Don't take me to the hospital. He said, no, don't take me there. I said, why? He said, because if you take me there, they're going to not give me back. I said, they're not going to give you back because what happened, when you're on dialysis, you're under their care. And if you don't abide to what you have to do, it puts them at risk. So if something happens to you, they're at risk. So what they'll do if you miss dialysis, they say, we're not treating you no more. So he was like, it was to the point that he had missed dialysis so much that when he went to the hospital, they was going to know he was missing dialysis, and they was going to take, they're not going to give him back. So he knew it. So I'm like, what am I going to do? And he's sitting there, he can't, his legs, he didn't want nobody to see him in a wheelchair. He was like, put my sneakers on.
Yeah.
I put his sneakers on. What sneakers you want? Give me them right there. I put his sneakers on, rolled him out. He didn't want nobody to see him in a wheelchair. Yeah. Got in the car, and he didn't want to go to the hospital. I pulled up to Piedmont. I was just like, let me just pull up to Piedmont. Pulled up to Piedmont. He said, yo, what are we doing here? I said, we're going to go in the hospital. He said, no, don't take me in there. He said, you see them ladies over there in the black? If you take me in there, they're going to keep me. I'm sitting there like, he's kind of delusional right now. So I went to Grady now. I pulled up to Grady. He ain't want to go into Grady. I said, well, let's go to the juice bar. At the time, we had the juice bars down here, the Jutox. Took him to the juice bar. I went in to get him a beet juice and beet ginger and apple. And I'm in there ordering, the lady comes, she said, Mark, come outside right now. I walked outside, he in the car like, what? What's wrong with her? What's she tripping? What's wrong? I said, yo, you all right? He said he was foaming at the mouth, and he had a lot of water, real water he had his nose. And so I'm holding his hand in the car window. And then he's like, yo, what's wrong with her? What's wrong? And then he just did this. And he did that, and I felt his hand get heavy. I said, oh my God, no, you did not just do this to me. No, you didn't. And then I said, let's go. We got in the car. She's driving. I'm like, and I'm holding him because he's in the front seat. And and I had to hold his head because she's driving so quick, she make a right. He's all over there, make a left over there. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. So I'm holding him in the back seat like this. I'm holding him, and then we get to the hospital. I run into the hospital. I said, my friend is outside. I think he's dying. They came outside, took him in, put him on the machine, and then they came back to me after a while, and they said, who is he here with? I said, he's here with me. They said, I'm afraid to tell you, but your friend has passed. And he said, if you want, I can take you in and show you where we're trying. So they took me into the room. They had Black Rob on the table, and they kept hitting that hardened thing on him. It was pow, pow. And they said, we're trying one more time, pow. And he said, I'm sorry, he's passed. He said, but when a person dies, the last thing that they lose is their hearing and their memory. He said, so right now, if you go talk to him, he can hear you. I went and I said, I love you, man. Yeah, let me get that right. Yeah. I said, I love you. I'll see you in another life.
Man, I'm sorry, Mark. I feel your pain, my brother.
Thanks. Yeah, that's my brother. Then right after that, forgive me, y'all.
No, brother, listen.
It's all right
You know,
for a man to cry every now and then.
Absolutely.
You know, as men, sometimes we have too much pride to cry.
Nah, man.
You know, but
after that, real, brother.
Yeah, after that, Puffy, that's the first time I heard from Puffy.
So he called you after that?
He called me. Because Rob had a folder, and it had Puffy's number in it, and it had all his medical, his hospital papers. So when I opened up the folder in the back, I saw Puffy's number. It was Puffy. And I was like, you want to go ahead on and call Puff? He was like, yeah, call Puff. Tell him I need him right now. So I called, and then and when Rob passed, he called and he said, Mark, what's going on? He said, Mark, we're not going to let this moment be about me and you. We're going to let it be about Rob. What do I need to do? I said, Puff, you're going to have to get his kids or somebody out here to come claim his body, because they're asking, somebody got to come claim him. So he said, what do? I said, fly his son out here. He said, tell his son to call my office and get him out there. I said, okay. I said, he going to need a hotel. He said, get him a hotel. He said, what else I'm going to need to do? I said, we're going to have to bury Rob. And he helped. That was a moment that I saw a change in Puff, and I was like, wow, at least he has some empathy. He does have able to show some compassion towards other people, and he helped. And we talked, and then at that moment, I thought that maybe our friendship was going to have a chance to talk about the things that's going wrong in life. How can we fix it? At the same time, I had a lot of friends who are still his friends that I'm like, when you're around him, can you just ask him, like, Mark Curry's a good friend of mine, man. Why don't you and him sit down and kind of hash things out? Because it doesn't feel good, me coming to your party, and I know I usually be hanging out with him, and he's not coming to your party. Like, and that's my friend. Makes me not want to go to your party because my friends are not coming to the party, So,
man,
yeah, he did that.
You feel like in Rob's last days, in the latter part of his life, like, was he drinking heavily?
No drinking, no drugs. He stopped.
So, wow, he was just having health issues.
He stopped going to dialysis. He wanted to stop going to dialysis because when I would take him to dialysis, I used to have to take Rob to dialysis. Let me tell you what my work schedule was. I wake up in the morning, 7 o'clock. I might go to work 7, 8, 9, 10. I know Rob needs to be to the doctor at around whatever time. And they would call me because he was, every time he had to go to dialysis, they'll call me. Or every time he finished dialysis, they would call me to come pick him up. So I take him to dialysis. He'll be in there for 4 or 5 hours. I go back to work. I come back and pick him up and then take him home and then go back to work. And I would have to do that at least 3 or 4 times a week. And so I would do that. And then he the dialysis would make him tired. So after we would come back from dialysis, he'd just be on the couch for 2 days until it's time to go back to dialysis again. And so he said that he was in pain. So he didn't want to go to dialysis no more. Wow. Which often happens to a lot of people who go through dialysis. They just all of a sudden want to give up and they don't want to go through it no more. Now they're transitioning. So during his transition, he had Queen. Lady Dawn was there. That's what she does. And so she was there to help him transition over, and I was there.
Wow.
Yep.
It's powerful, man. I'm my condolences, brother. And
man, that was deep.
Yeah, it definitely is, brother. Mm-hmm. I know at one time you and Shine were roommates.
Mm-hmm.
Take us through that, because I remember reading that in your book, man.
Yeah.
And this is like years ago, and I encourage everybody. It
Oh
gives you a
my
different
gosh.
perspective on
Life, man.
that time and your journey in this whole thing. But you and Shine, this is during the gun incident, right? The
Right around
shooting
then.
in New York.
Little bit
Talk-
before it.
Okay, a little bit before. So what was Shine like at that time? What was it like being around him? You know, what was y'all friendship relationship
Right.
like?
With Shine, Puff used to give Shine a stack of CDs. It'd be Dog Pound, Snoop Dogg, all the rappers, and he said, "Just go home and study these records, because this is what you need to do." So Shine was still looking for that shine. He was still looking for. I'm gonna
Finding
figure
himself.
out finding himself. He didn't have a style.
And I heard, you know, obviously he sounded like Big.
He sounded like
Was
Big.
that a problem for him? I heard
It
Junior
wasn't
Mafia,
a problem with me, but it was a problem with Junior Mafia.
So they didn't like him. They didn't receive
They
Shine.
they had their little times where they didn't accept him with the open arms like that. And then it also was seeming like Puff was trying to recreate a Biggie situation with someone who sounded like Big. But Sean lived with me in the house. Me and him lived in Puff apartment. Well, Puff had a condo on 35th Street. It was a double-story, 2-bedroom. At the time, he was still dating Kim Porter, but he started dating J-Lo. So he had a whole nother place over there with J-Lo. He was never coming back to this place. So immediately I went and took his picture off of the wall, went to Eckers and made me one. I put my picture right up on there. I was like, "It's my crib." So the only time that they give you up is
It was
when
like
they
at home.
Yeah, when the girls would come in or who they come in, they'd be like, "Why all of these plaques say Sean Combs?" Sean Combs. I'd be like, he gave them to me.
Yeah.
So we lived there. So one day I came in and Shine had a AK. He said the bullet is jammed in it. He said, "Can you get the bullet out?" I said, "Sean, if you can't get the bullet out this thing, you shouldn't even be having it." So another friend came and helped him get the bullet out. Next day, well, not too long after that, Puff signed him. He gave Sean some money, right? Sean said, "Mark, come with me to the Mercedes-Benz dealership. I'm ready to go get me a Benz."
So
I
the
said,
day
"Okay."
he gets his check.
Yeah, as soon as he get the check, he did it through accountant. My accountant, I'm going to get this car. Call the bank and let them know I got the money. Do whatever you need to do. I want this car. They was like, "Well, we don't have a 600. We only have a 500. He said, "I don't want a 500. I want a 600. He said, "Well, can y'all take the 600, take the 500 off and put the 600 letters on it?" They said, "Yeah." So they put the 600 letters on it. He riding around with the 500. So the next day he come home. Well, I got in the car with him. I was like, "Sean really don't know how to drive." I was like, "I'm going to stay out of this car." So the next day he came home, the window was busted out. I said, one of the windows.
The day after he got it.
So after he got it, I said, "What happened?" He said, "Man, I was at this girl house and her boyfriend came out and started shooting at me." I was like, well, that's what happens when you get a car. You think you can get all the girls now, especially, and he was going back to Brooklyn, like where his hometown is. Let me go back with this Benz around all of these people that I grew up with and holler at these girls that I used to want. "Oh, Sean, you got a Benz yet?" So the next day, after that, he was like, "Mark, you want to ride with me to Brooklyn?" I said, "Nah, I got something else I want to do." And he had this friend named Nino that had a red 850. And he could drive. New Yorkers drive crazy. So Sean didn't know how to drive following Nino, who knows how to drive. Anyhow, I get a call that says, "Mark, you need to come up to the hospital." So I get up to the hospital, and I'm in the ICU unit. It's Sean in this room, his cousin in that room, his friend in that room. This one over here died. His cousin died. The axle,
one that was driving.
No, he was in the back seat, and the axle. Once he had the car impacted on, he ran. It was a light, and it was in front of the light. He had to make a left or right, and he didn't make the left or right. And I think he went up, and the car might have hit on that curve or whatever, and it hit the bottom axle, and broke the axle and pulled it up through the car and went right through the man's back.
His cousin. So this is the same day you said, "I'm not going to ride with you."
Same day I said, "I'm not riding." And then when I got there, the doctor said, please do not tell him that his cousin died because we do not want him to go into shock. So the whole time I'm sitting there talking to him, he's like, how's my cousin? How's everybody? I said, everybody's good. Everybody cool. Everybody just chilling. He said, they're not telling me nothing. And then that's what happened. That's my Shine story.
Man. Wow, that's a powerful story, man. You've seen a lot. Were you there when the night he went out with Puff?
I wasn't there that night.
Was he still staying at the same place?
I don't know where Shine was staying at that time. I don't know where he was staying at that time, but Puff had a place on. He was living on Park Avenue in York or something, 77 Park, and it was a time when I used to come to New York. He used to be like, "Yo, you gotta come stay at my house. No more hotels." And then I used to have to go stay in. Yeah. And then because I was a wild dude, I'm going out to like the girl who the bartender at Club New York. That was my girlfriend.
Now Club New York is what?
That's the club that they had the shooting.
So your girlfriend at the time is the bartender. So she saw everything.
Yeah, she saw everything. She called me. She said, "Mark, Puff and them, they just had a shootout in the club." So I'm like, wow. And I also had a friend that was from California visiting. I told him to go hang out with them, and that's that happened that night. And then I wasn't there that night, but I knew what was going on.
It's interesting because the woman who was the victim in that has been speaking out a lot more, saying it was really Puff that bust his gun. And I know,
as far as that is concerned, I kind of touched up on that a little earlier, where I said once you hear a gun shot go off, the first thing you think is to close your eyes and duck. It is so hard to see somebody, if you ask me, shoot you and you're still living, and you be like, I just saw like only if somebody shoots you, it's the bullet travels faster than sound. So how in the world can you see once you don't never know, you don't even know where he shot the gun. Only thing you might see is him holding the gun. So in some situations, and I'm not saying that she's wrong, and I'm not saying that she's right, but I'm not saying that she's wrong, but to let me see or hear that you saw somebody, like if I hear some gunshot, I ain't gonna be able to see. I'll be like, man, I heard the gunshot, I hit the floor.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I knew.
Yeah.
Right.
That incident during that time, I remember being on the radio in D.C. and I remember Donald Trump saying that he was probably the first call Puff made at that time, and I guess Trump had some connections. This is when he was deeply rooted on the hip hop side. Mm-hmm. So I took that to mean that Puff was definitely moving in some interesting circles. Let's fast forward to where we are right now. There's a lot going on. Clearly, he looked to be going through a lot. There's been a lot of footage circulating where he looked pretty tense. And
yes, very upset.
Knowing him the way you know him, what do you think his mental state is right now?
Not sound, and it makes me worry. Some people you don't have to worry about. You be like, I don't have to worry about you. I know you know how to carry yourself when you're out in the street. I know if you go to prison, you're going to be able to sit down in that room, whether it's 10 years. Some people cannot. But some people, before they even go broke, they'll kill themselves. You understand? So, yeah. This depends on how he's going to take it. But I'm sure it's going to be a big shock to him going from the high place that he was in and now going coming down to a couple of notches or whatever it may be. It might be a shock to him according to how he handles it.
Yeah.
And can he handle it? I don't really think he can handle it like that, you know. So when I saw him stress, it made me worry.
When I saw that, it was giving me Shawshank Redemption energy. You ever seen that film?
Mm-hmm.
The End?
Yeah.
Where the warden is going crazy?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, I don't know him, but, just understanding everything that was kind of going on. And then one of the other reports that I saw come out was that, I know the Fed seized a lot of electronics when they raided his homes.
Mm-hmm.
And there was something that I came across that said he had every room in his house recorded.
Mm-hmm.
So he had a lot of documentation on a lot of very influential people doing things or put in very compromising positions. I mean, do you know that to be?
It's in my book. I said that.
He was doing this 15 years ago.
I was telling you, yeah, I said it in the book how he when he tapped he had it on Kim Porter on his, and then he had it on the phone. Got to read the book. In the book, and it said that Shakira had called Kim and said how, I think it was how's, don't quote me on it, but it was the words in the book. I think it was how are my kids? And he was like, how are my kids? He's calling Puffy kids his kids, because I think that Kim and Shakira may have had something may have been going on, but Shakira was like that. So I knew Shakira.
Yeah.
He's a fly guy. Yeah. So it was a problem, and then they had a fight at L.A. Reid party. Him and Puff had threw a chair at him, and then
Puff and Shakira, right?
Yeah, Puff Shakira. He threw a chair at him at it was L.A. Reid's wedding. I believe he was getting married, and then that was their beef. But you asked the question. What was that question one more time? I want to make sure I answered it.
Just as it relates to him taping everything.
Oh, taping, yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like he has a lot of documentation on a lot of very powerful people, which is seemingly why I keep hearing this Epstein comparison.
Who do you think he learned it from? He learned it from Clive and all of those people, the LAs. When you go to their house, they recording everything in their house too. So how many have they recorded him?
What do you think as it relates to Shakira? Because that was something that oftentimes I heard speculation on.
I mean, with being wise man you are, with taking 2 and 2 and putting it together, I'm sure if you look at the situation correctly, you can see, you can tell what happened.
Yeah.
He killed himself, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But it just seemed like it was deeper than rap.
Something was disturbing.
Yeah.
Something was very disturbing to him, and at that time, and whatever it wasn't something that he could stomach.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it bothered him enough to where he took his life.
Yeah. When all this really began to happen, it seemed as if his kids were a lot more involved than probably what the average person would think, right? Because they were named in the lawsuits and the allegations. When I saw the producer, and I thought it was really odd when you're a grown man with kids having to acknowledge another man grabbing your anus. I mean, he literally says this, fondling him. And I'm like, was that ever something you recall seeing from Puff?
No, never saw nothing like it. Never saw nothing like it. And then some of the things I think about, Osei, man, and this being clearly fair and honest with it, he says that he touched him, groped him, and touched him around his anus, but that didn't mean it. It would be different if he said he pulled my pants down and tied me up, and then started something in the back of me. You'd be like, now that's a different story. But to say he touched you, we don't know if that touch could have been accidental. We don't know if maybe you thought he touched you. Maybe when he put his hand on your leg, it's like sometimes you talk to people, they be like, oh, say, they put their hand on you, might do like this, like, yeah, you know what I'm saying, and move it off. But just because, somebody may do that. If you have, let's say, if you are offended by it, or if it offends you, even if you pay attention, you'd be like, wow, this dude is touching my leg, got his hand on my leg. And you'd be like, do I respond to it like I'm homophobic? Or do I just sometimes look and say, he's talking? So sometimes if I'm homophobic, I'm going to say, he's trying to touch me. Don't touch me, right? So
and I definitely, I hear what you're saying, where you're going with it, Mark. But I think when I heard him say he woke up and he didn't know what had happened,
now that's
and
different.
He woke up in the bed and
in the bed with him,
and 2 sex workers, and he can't recall. Sometimes, a lot of times we talk about, trains getting ran on women.
Yeah, but let me ask you this: this being the devil's advocate, He woke up. What did he wake up naked? Did he say his butt was sore?
I don't know.
See, that's the thing we want to know.
If this goes to trial, I don't know. I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
how this plays out. Obviously, it's civil.
And
but
they do have cameras, so they should see it.
Yeah. One of the other things I thought that was interesting about the whole case was where it went with Cassie and then talking about the physically abusive side. And I was like, wow. And this is just speculation. I mean, I know that sometimes, homosexuality in our community isn't something that's talked about. Mm-hmm. And I would imagine, if someone is struggling to come to grips with who they are, and they feel the need, because I know Cassie is but so big. And the level of physicality that was described in the lawsuit, I was like, wow, that's pretty disturbing. Do you think that he had evolved into this other person in that way? Because you talked about a little bit about what happened with Kim, and I think it was common knowledge that there was a lot of maybe abuse there. Right. I mean, can you shed any light on, where he was at as a person?
Like, yeah, but just like when you thinking, if you put yourself in the shoe of someone like him, and you try to think of the things that are interesting to you, even when it comes to dating females, you be like, I've dated so many females that just having normal sex with this female is just not it for me no more. Now I want to have sex with her, and I want her to put on a red thing or whatever it may be, and then your mind just starts going and going and going. I do believe that you can overdo yourself by not keeping yourself grounded, and if those type of things were going on, it's almost like a gateway to other things. So you say, if those things were going on, it was a learned or a studied type of behavior that he picked up, and it's something that's helping him feel that adrenaline rush and feel happy and comfortable with it. So you do have some guys that might say, not me, I enjoy watching other men have sex with my girlfriend, or just seeing her face, just how she's enjoying it, and then you be like, what kind of weird sick stuff am I on liking this? But some people do that.
Yeah.
But you have to keep yourself grounded.
It's interesting. Did you ever think that there was anything really there with his relationship with Young Miami?
No, I didn't. I just didn't even understand the Young and the Miami, the both of that, and the City Girls. And I'm like, what I did here is this, that when he was prancing, they said he's parading around town with the City girl, and he wanted to be the brand. He's the brand of a big liquor, but he's running around, and he's kind of, it was a point to where that company thought that he was embarrassing.
Diageo.
They thought that he was embarrassing. It's like,
so when he got, I kind of thought that when that Diageo lawsuit came about, I felt like that was the beginning of the end.
Yeah, because he was prancing around with Young Miami. He's the face of Ciroc. He started saying the things that he was saying, and they was like, man, that's it, man. We and then he was when you think about that one, and I don't know how much time we have, but when you think of that one, you say, okay, Diageo, they gave him $1 billion or something like that for marketing that, whatever it may have been. So actually Puff was an employee for them, and he got fired the same way he fires people. So what he's doing is what he did to Francesca Spiro. He fired Francesca Spiro and hired somebody else, and fired her, said because she's getting too old and he needs somebody a little bit more younger or something like that. She sued him for discrimination.
Where is she now?
She died. So it's just stuff that make you think, and you say, "Wow," But
do you think he knew how much favor he had? Because sometimes I recognize that some people don't know that they have favor, and that they're really blessed despite the wicked things that some people do. But do you think that Puff, did you ever know him to be a person of faith?
Nah, not really. He's just based on Puff, his money, and what he can do. That's all. And did he live in favor? He might have thought he was living in favor. You know, and sometimes it can look like he's living in favor, but you see the results of things now. So this is a shock to him, I'm sure, to say, you know, you was on a high horse yesterday, and now you're on a Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall, and then he had a great fall. You know, so now this is the things, the karma, everything in life that, you know, I said to myself, I said, man, if he put me through the things that I had to go through, and I still got up and went to work every day. I went and I'm a carpenter by trade. So I went to work every day to do the things I need to do. It's hard to go in places and people be like, why you in here working? Ain't you used to be signed to Bad Boy? So I finally got to the point to where I can go out into the world and nobody notices me. So I was like, I could go break leaves. I can go fix on the car. But every now and then somebody be like, hey man, what's your name? I'll be like, yeah, you got me. You know what I'm saying? So I want to make sure I get to your question. What was that? I think I fell off the soapbox just a little bit.
Is he a man of faith?
A man of faith.
Do you know him to have any real belief in something bigger than himself?
No, usually when people like him only believe in the dollar. You only find them believing in something else when they go through trouble. Or when they had, after the shooting that he had in the club in New York with J-Lo, I'm sure he found God then. I'm sure he's with God right now. And the only thing he needs to do really is just to keep praying. You know, if he's innocent and you're innocent, Puff, you know, pray about it and be innocent.
I know we're going to have to continue this, Mark. I'm going to have to bring you back because I know we could talk for days.
For days.
I want to ask you this last thing. Speaking of faith, I realized that, you know, when Puff went through that shooting and he was acquitted, they released that song, Get This Money. Mm-hmm. Black Rob, G-Dep. I heard that 50 had something to do with writing it. It's, you know, it's interesting, but have you spoken to G-Dep? Because it seems like he's going through a massive transformation.
Hey, man.
He turned himself in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so something was wearing on him, but you speak to G-Dep, how is he doing?
G-Dep is on his way home in like a week. He got clemency. I talked to his mom. And what we're talking about is he needed the last I talked, she just needed an address and have a home for him where he's going to be coming home to. And our conversation was, would it be wise for him to still live in New York or get away? Because I just didn't want him to come home. And then sometimes you can surround yourself with friends that be like, you home now, let's get back in the studio here. You know, even like if I'm after G-Dep, during the time that he came home to me, if he came home and even if it was a friend that wanted to smoke marijuana around him, these are the wrong things. Don't do nothing around him. Let him spend time with his family, be with his daughter, you know, spend time, you know, I know he spent a lot of time to himself, but now it's time for him to spend time with the ones that, his loved ones.
Yeah.
So I'm like, let's try to get him away from there and get him, he wants to come down to Atlanta.
Well, we want to have you back on the Culture Club Uncensored. I hope that we can have G-Dep as well. And
I'll get him out here.
Yeah, man. That's real, man. Thank you so much, bro, for being so honest, so transparent. You've always, in my opinion, given that energy. So it's nothing new, but I think people really need to know. Tell them how they can also, you know, get your book.
Okay, on my book, it's Amazon. It's on Amazon. You just Google Mark Curry Dancing with the Devil, Puff. You could do Mark Curry Puff book, and it's gonna come up.
Yeah.
This Mark Curry book, it might come up.
Yeah.
But that's on Amazon. You can order there, or if you're on like social media, which my social media on Instagram is Mark MARK K one more time CURRY Mark K Curry. You could DM me and I can get you the order. I send autograph copies for my DM.
That's
so
what's
for
up.
Those who want the autograph copy, you DM me. I send one out to you.
Yeah, man. Mark Curry, ladies and gentlemen, they've been giving me the sign, but you know, we just had to keep going, and we gonna have a part 2 to it, man. We'll have you back, and we'll get into some other cuisine, but continued blessings to you, Mark. Thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you, and you know what?
Yeah.
I want to say my last thing is thank you again, Osei, because you know it's hard for me to win in my own hometown. I can go anywhere else, and I'm different, but it's hard for me to get what you allowed me to do here in this city today. Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
And then also this pizza. This piece, I'm gonna
Yeah.
finish that
You
piece
go-
off.
yeah,
As soon
we
as,
got
soon
it
as
for
the
you.
camera go off, that
There
piece
it
is out of here.
is. Shout out to Nancy's, man.
Nancy's, yes.
All right.
Thank
Make
you.
sure you check for us, the Culture Club Uncensored, powered by Atlanta Black Star. We'll see you next time.